Once upon a time, there was a kind and beautiful girl named Cinderella. She lived with her mean stepmother and two stepsisters. They treated her like a servant. She had to clean the house and do all the work. Still, she remembered what her mother had said. Be brave and kind. One day, a letter came from the palace. There was going to be a big royal ball. The prince wanted to find a bride. Everyone in the kingdom was invited. Cinderella's stepmother bought new dresses for herself and her daughters. Cinderella helped make the dresses. On the night of the ball, Cinderella made a dress for herself and came downstairs. But her stepmother and stepsisters were angry to see her looking so pretty. They tore her dress and left her behind. Cinderella was very sad and started to cry. Suddenly, her fairy godmother appeared. She said, "Don't cry. You will go to the ball." Cinderella said, "But I don't have a dress." The fairy godmother waved her magic wand and gave her a beautiful dress. She also turned a pumpkin into a coach and mice into horses and coachmen. The fairy godmother said, "The magic will end at midnight. You must come back before then." At the ball, everyone looked at Cinderella. She looked so beautiful that even her stepmother and stepsisters didn't know it was her. The prince danced with her all evening. At midnight, Cinderella ran away. On the way, one of her glass slippers fell off. She didn't stop to pick it up. She got home just as the magic ended. Her dress became rags again, and the coach turned back into a pumpkin. The prince had fallen in love with Cinderella. He picked up the glass slipper and said, "I will marry the girl whose foot fits this slipper." The prince and his men went to every house. The stepsisters tried the shoe, but it didn't fit. The stepmother didn't want Cinderella to try it, but the prince said, "Let her try." The shoe fit Cinderella perfectly. The prince knew she was the girl from the ball. They got married and lived happily. Rapunzel, a magical bedtime story with gentle life lessons. Once upon a time, in a quiet village near a deep forest, lived a kind man and his gentle wife. They had everything they needed, except one thing, a child. Every night, they wished for a baby to hold and love. One day, their wish came true. The wife was expecting a baby. Their hearts filled with joy. Behind their cottage was a beautiful garden full of fresh vegetables and colorful flowers, but it belonged to a powerful witch named Mother Gothel. No one dared go near it. One day, the wife saw some bright red radishes growing there. They looked so delicious. She couldn't stop thinking about them. "I need to have those radishes," she told her husband, "or I may grow weak." The man, full of love, climbed into the witch's garden at night and picked some for her. She felt better, but soon she wanted more. So he sneaked in again. This time, the witch caught him. "How dare you steal from my garden?" she shouted. He begged, "Please forgive me. My wife is going to have a baby. She needed the radishes." The witch said, "You may take the radishes, but in return, I will take your child when she is born." The man was frightened and agreed. When the baby was born, the witch came and took her away. She named her Rapunzel and raised her in a tower hidden deep in the forest. The tower had no stairs or doors, only a small window high above. Rapunzel grew into a kind and beautiful girl with long golden hair. But the witch didn't want anyone to see her. So whenever she wanted to visit, she stood below and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would let down her long braid, and the witch would climb up. Moral: greed and jealousy can lead to pain. The witch tried to keep Rapunzel all to herself, but lost everything because of her selfishness. One day, a prince was passing through the forest. He heard Rapunzel singing from the tower and was enchanted by her voice. He came back the next day and saw how the witch climbed up. After she left, he tried the same. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel let down her braid, and the prince climbed up. She was surprised and afraid at first, but the prince smiled kindly and said, Your voice led me here. I had to meet you. Soon, they became friends. And then, they fell in love. Moral: true love is patient and brave. The prince returned every evening, just to see Rapunzel and help her escape. They planned to run away. Rapunzel would weave a rope ladder from silk he brought each night. But one day, she asked the witch, "Why are you so much heavier than the prince?" The witch became furious. She cut off Rapunzel's hair and sent her far away to the desert. That night, she tricked the prince by letting down Rapunzel's hair. When he climbed up, she was waiting. "You'll never see Rapunzel again," she shouted, and pushed him from the tower. He fell into thorn bushes that blinded him. Heartbroken, he wandered for months, calling out for Rapunzel. Then, one day, he heard her singing in the desert. They ran to each other. When Rapunzel's tears fell onto his eyes, he could see again. And magically, her golden hair grew back. Moral: kindness and honesty bring miracles. Even in sadness, love and truth can bring joy. The prince took Rapunzel back to his kingdom. They were married and lived happily ever after, surrounded by love and freedom. Moral: freedom is precious. Everyone deserves to be with people who care for them and let them be free. The end. If you want to listen to more heartwarming stories like this one, don't forget to come back for more magical tales full of love, adventure, and life lessons.
Lily and the Magical Garden. Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful village, there lived a sweet little girl named Lily. Lily loved playing outside. She would spend hours exploring the trees, flowers, and butterflies around her. Nature made her happy. One sunny afternoon, while playing in her garden, Lily found something very old and dusty under a bush. It was a book. Its name was a Livro de Genesis de Biblia. She picked it up, brushed off the dust, and opened it. Suddenly, a soft sparkle of fairy dust floated into the air, and before Lily could blink, the book magically came to life. In the blink of an eye, Lily was standing in a beautiful, enchanted garden. Everywhere she looked, there were colorful flowers, tall trees full of juicy fruits, and friendly animals who could talk. "Welcome, Lily," said a smiling bunny. "We've been waiting for you." Lily laughed with joy and ran through the garden, meeting wise owls, playful squirrels, and singing birds. Even the butterflies twirled around her like dancers. As she walked deeper into the garden, she saw something glowing on the ground. It was a small, shiny seed. A gentle voice said, "This is a magical seed. If you plant it with love, it will bring happiness to everyone around you." Lily carefully picked up the seed and made a wish. "I want to plant this in my garden back home." And just like that, she was back in her own garden, holding the magical seed. She told her family and friends everything. Together, they planted the seed with love and care. Days passed, and something amazing happened. Her garden started to change. Flowers bloomed in new colors. Birds came to sing, and the whole garden felt full of joy. Children from all over the village came to play. Everyone smiled, laughed, and felt happy. Lily's garden had become a magical place, just like the one from the book. And whenever Lily missed the enchanted garden, she would open the book again and dream of that magical world. The end. If you liked this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more magical tales every week. Thank you for listening. And remember, magic lives in kind hearts. Cherry Blossom, bye-bye.
Once upon a time, in the peaceful kingdom of Eldoria, there lived a gentle and curious princess named Lionel. She loved wandering through the kingdom's lush forests, but there was one place she cherished above all: the Whispering Grove. The grove was hidden deep within the royal forest, and people said it was filled with secrets and magic. The trees there had stood for centuries, and their leaves shimmered with a golden hue. The elders spoke of a special bond between the grove and the kingdom's prosperity. One day, as the kingdom faced harsh times, the king decided to expand the palace and cut down some trees from the grove to make way for more buildings. The ministers argued that it would bring more wealth and power to the kingdom. Princess Lionel felt uneasy. She loved the grove and had always believed it was more than just a forest. It was a symbol of the kingdom's connection to nature. Determined to understand its true meaning, she visited the grove late one evening. As she entered, a soft breeze whispered through the trees, as if inviting her to listen. Lionel sat quietly, closing her eyes. Soon, a deep voice spoke from the heart of the grove. Only those with pure hearts can hear the secret of the grove. If you harm us, the land will wither and the rivers will dry. We protect this kingdom, not by force, but by balance. Princess Lionel opened her eyes, filled with understanding. The grove wasn't just a beautiful forest. It was the heart of Eldoria. Without it, the kingdom would fall into ruin. The next morning, Lionel gathered the king and the ministers and led them to the grove. As they stood together, the trees shimmered and the animals of the forest gathered around them, an extraordinary sight that none had ever witnessed before. With the grove's secret revealed, the king and his ministers realized the importance of protecting it. They decided to preserve the Whispering Grove forever, ensuring that it remained the kingdom's source of strength and peace. Princess Lionel's wisdom spread far and wide, and she was known as Lionel the Wise, the princess who understood the true meaning of balance between nature and the kingdom. Moral of the story: true strength lies in respecting nature and understanding its deeper wisdom. Sometimes, protecting what we love requires listening with an open heart.
Once there lived a princess called Maggie who fell in love with a bricklayer named Kevin. She was tall, beautiful, and kind, and he was dark, tall, and never lost his temper. She fell in love with his calm attitude and humble nature. Princess Maggie announced her love to the whole kingdom, everyone except her father, the king, who she feared would be furious. Kevin also loved her deeply, but he didn't have the courage to confess his feelings. He believed he was unworthy of her because of his simple background. One day, Princess Maggie boldly invited Kevin to the palace. In front of her father, she expressed her love for Kevin, and even kissed him. The king was furious and shouted at them both. But Maggie stood firm. She explained that love should not be measured by status, wealth, or titles. She said, "Everyone is equal, and true love sees no class." Hearing his daughter's heartfelt words and seeing the love in their eyes, the king's heart softened. He realized their love was genuine and pure. In the end, he blessed their union and allowed them to be together. Morals of the story: true love goes beyond status and appearance. Kindness and character matter more than wealth or social rank. Courage to stand up for love can change hearts. Everyone deserves to be treated equally, regardless of their background.
The Paper Bag Princess. Once upon a time, in a grand and prosperous kingdom, there lived a beautiful and kind-hearted princess named Elizabeth. She had everything one could dream of: golden dresses, sparkling shoes, and countless crowns. Her castle was the biggest in the land, and her charm was known throughout the 7 kingdoms. Elizabeth was soon engaged to a handsome prince named Ronald, who admired her beauty and royal lifestyle. Everyone believed they were the perfect couple. One sunny morning, however, disaster struck. A ferocious dragon attacked the kingdom. It burned down the castle, destroyed all the royal treasures, and captured Prince Ronald, carrying him away to a far-off cave. The fire had turned Elizabeth's lovely gowns into ashes, and the only thing she could find to wear was a paper bag. Despite her appearance, Elizabeth was brave and determined. She didn't care about her lost riches. She only wanted to save Ronald. Wearing the paper bag, she followed the dragon's trail of burnt forests and scorched paths until she reached the dragon's lair. The dragon was huge, fierce, and fast asleep. Using her clever mind, Elizabeth complimented the dragon on his strength and speed. She challenged him to show how far he could fly and how much fire he could breathe. Proud and flattered, the dragon kept performing until he was so tired, he fell into a deep sleep. Seeing her chance, Elizabeth rushed into the cave and rescued Ronald. But instead of being thankful, Prince Ronald looked at her with disgust. "Elizabeth," he said, "you smell like smoke, your hair is messy, and you're wearing a paper bag. Come back when you look like a real princess." Elizabeth paused. She stared at him. Then she smiled, turned around, and walked away. She realized Ronald didn't care about her bravery or kindness, only about how she looked. And she lived happily ever after, without him. Moral of the story: real love values character over wealth or appearance.
In the peaceful kingdom of Norfolk, the royal gardens were alive with the scent of blooming flowers and the soft rustle of the breeze. One day, the young princess walked through the garden with her father, the king. As they strolled, something caught her eye beneath a bush. She bent down and discovered a beautiful glowing ring. The king looked at it and smiled gently. "My dear," he said, "this is no ordinary ring. It holds 5 magical powers. But remember, only one power can ever be used." He told her what the powers were: the ability to create fire without flint, the gift of sound and peaceful sleep, the power to grow any crop at will, the command to shower rain from the sky, and the rarest of all, a voice like an enchanted siren that could bring prosperity to the entire kingdom. The princess listened carefully and kept the ring safe, unsure when she might need it. Years passed peacefully, but then a dark curse swept over the land. A wicked witch had cast a spell. The skies dried, the crops failed. The people of Norfolk began to suffer. Heartbroken, the princess remembered the ring and chose her gift, the power to sing like a siren. She began to sing from morning till night. Her voice echoed through the kingdom, calling to the skies, to the soil, to the spirit of the land. Even when her parents begged her to rest, she gently refused. "My people need me," she said. "I must continue." She sang for days, then weeks, then months. At last, the spell began to break. Rain returned, the earth flourished. Joy and prosperity spread once more. But the princess, worn and weakened from her endless song, grew ill. She had saved her kingdom, but it had taken everything she had. In time, she closed her eyes for the last time, surrounded by love, remembered by all. To this day, the people of Norfolk tell her story. The princess who gave everything for her people. The one who sang to save them all. Moral of the story: true love means sacrifice. A real leader puts others before themselves. And their legacy lives on forever.
Once there lived a princess called Chocolate with her parents in a beautiful castle. They were very happy together, and all the people of the kingdom lived in peace and harmony. But everything changed on the princess's 15th birthday. A grand celebration was held in her honor, and all the loved ones of the royal family were invited. Among them, a jealous witch, envious of their happiness, secretly plotted against them. In the midst of the festivities, the witch kidnapped Princess Chocolate and vanished. The king did everything he could to rescue his daughter. He pleaded with the witch, offered treasures, and even tried to confront her, but all his efforts failed. In desperation, the king made a royal announcement, inviting princes from neighboring kingdoms to take on the challenge of rescuing Princess Chocolate. He promised that whoever succeeded would marry the princess and become the next king. Among them, a smart and brave prince accepted the challenge. Instead of rushing blindly into battle, he used his intelligence and courage to outwit the witch, rescued the princess, and brought her back safely. Soon, the princess and the prince were married, and joy returned to the kingdom. Peace and happiness once again filled the air. Moral: jealousy leads to misery, but true courage and wisdom can conquer all. Kindness, bravery, and intelligence always win in the end.
The Lonely Princess. Princess Isabella was the youngest of the daughters in the Kingdom of Gloria. She had two beautiful sisters who always teased her about the way she dressed and her childish love for playing with dolls. Her sisters didn't spend time with her, and though she often felt lonely, she found joy in the company of her dolls. She had named each one and spoke to them as if they were real friends. The king noticed her loneliness and grew concerned. He tried to spend time with her, but Isabella remained happiest in her world of imagination. One day, a handsome prince named Geoffrey visited the kingdom. Both of Isabella's elder sisters were eager to impress him. The first sister spoke endlessly about her beauty and how she maintained it, but the prince soon grew bored. Then the second sister talked about her duties in the kingdom and the famous people she knew, but again, the prince was uninterested. Finally, he met Isabella, who quietly greeted him with a sweet smile. Her sisters giggled and mocked her for playing with dolls, calling her childish. But to everyone's surprise, the prince laughed heartily and then pulled out Jane, a small doll from his pocket. Geoffrey and Isabella quickly discovered their shared love for imagination and storytelling. She introduced him to her doll friends, and they spent hours talking, laughing, and bonding over their whimsical world. They became good friends, and perhaps something even more. Moral of the story: true connections are built on genuine interests, not appearances or status. Never be ashamed of who you are. What makes you different might be exactly what makes you special.
The Princess Dragon. Once there lived a princess who never liked to dress up, comb her hair, or wear jewels like the other princesses. Instead, she enjoyed playing mean tricks to trouble the knight and the people in the kingdom. She was known far and wide as a terrible example of royalty. One day, a witch came near the kingdom and settled in a nearby cave. Curious about the princess's wicked nature, the witch thought she might make a perfect ally in causing trouble. But before that, she decided to visit the cave to ask for help from a nearby dragon. To her surprise, the dragon was nothing like she expected. He was gentle, calm, and spent his time playing the piano and reading books. When the princess met the dragon, they were both surprised at how different they were from what others expected them to be. Over time, they talked and realized that they were both unhappy pretending to be someone they were not. The dragon didn't want to be feared, and the princess didn't want to follow the usual princess rules. So they decided to exchange lives. The dragon moved into the castle and taught music and kindness, while the princess lived in the cave, exploring freely without hurting anyone. Surprisingly, this change brought peace to the kingdom. The people loved the dragon's gentle ways, and the princess learned to use her energy for good, helping lost travelers, learning about nature, and being a protector from the cave. They both lived happily ever after, finally being true to who they were. Moral of the story: true happiness comes from being yourself, not who others expect you to be. The Princess and the Magic Feather. Once upon a time, there lived a princess named Evelyn in a castle with her parents and sisters. She loved to play with dolls and have pillow fights with her sisters. One day, while they were having a pillow fight, their parents got really angry. They took her two sisters to a different place and allowed them to come back only after 1 month. Princess Evelyn was really sad that she had nobody to play with. But soon, a new family moved in next door, and they had a daughter named Jasmine. They became friends quickly, and one day while playing a pillow fight, they saw a blue feather come out of a pillow. It seemed to be a magic feather. They took the feather near a withered flower, and soon the flower rose to become the most beautiful flower they had ever seen. When her sisters returned, Evelyn told them the entire story, and they all became friends. Moral: true friendship brings joy and magic into our lives, and kindness can help even the smallest things blossom into something beautiful.